YouTuber movies. When I say those two words, something inside you probably revolts at the idea of it. Maybe you think of the Fred trilogy that started in 2010, or those weird Logan Paul movies like Airplane Mode, or that weird stunt he did with YouTube Red with The Thinning New World Order. What does that mean? I have no idea. Or even the Scare PewDiePie show. Or maybe you think of Rocket Jump and you think of their really good, really great web show, Video Game High School, that everyone should go watch right now because it is a masterpiece. YouTuber movies have evolved into legitimate Hollywood productions, with the recent horror movie Talk to Me, made by two brothers who started on YouTube. Or even Chris Stuckman, who's making a horror movie with the help of Mike Flanagan. And recently, another YouTuber has stepped up to the bat to see if he has what it takes to make a well-rounded production. And his name is The Critical Drinker. If you're privileged enough on this godforsaken platform to not know who this plague on the genre is, The Critical Drinker is a movie critic who views media in an incredibly narrow conservative lens. This is made apparent by the friends and associates he hangs out with on streams, the multiple interviews he does with various conservative news outlets, and the merch he sells that articulates the humorous disdain his audience has for the modern audience, even though the picture on the logo is almost 10 years old. Critical Drinker is not an objective media critic. He likes to masquerade as one, but he does a very poor job of this. Because of this narrow political lens he uses to view media, he often completely misreads or misrepresents what's happening in the media that he's critiquing. My favorite example of this is what he said in his Andor review. His Andor review is overall fine, very surface level on why he thinks it's good and why he thinks it's bad. Not really anything of actual substance that says, hey, this show's really good. This is how the show articulates how it is really good. And it's really just stating his thoughts and feelings on the show, and very much in a casual manner. But at the end of the video, he attempts to critique the show, specifically with its female characters, such as Mon Mothma.
While Andor is nowhere near as obnoxious as other Star Wars shows when it comes to identity politics, you can definitely feel the Kathleen Kennedy influence at times. The tired, predictable trope of the strong, capable female character quietly directing and fixing things behind the scenes crops up a little too often, and if I'm honest, you could probably have cut one or two of them out of the story without losing too much.
Okay, so if you've actually watched the show, you know that this is far from the truth. And the reason I'm focusing so hard on Mon Mothma is because he, A, showed visuals of her while making this point, and B, this is just such a stupid thing to criticize. There is at no point in this entire show where Mon Mothma is controlling things from the shadows. Whenever she's talking to Luthen, she's always on the back foot, whether the conversation be about the funds that the network of rebels needs, or the protection of the citizens of the Empire. She always tries to come to a compromise, but always realizes that Luthen's brutalistic approach was right all along.
People will suffer.
That's the plan.
The only time she's ever in control of a situation is when she's talking to Perrin about what she does in the shadows as she maneuvers through the political climate of the Senate while also trying to fund an entire rebellion. And even then, she's doing all of this because she needs his help in order to move her money around without the Empire noticing. To say she's controlling everything in the shadows is just wrong. She's trapped at all angles, swimming with the sharks with every party she hosts. She is desperate for an out, so desperate that she's willing to give up her own daughter to an arranged marriage as a part of a culture that she despises in order to cover her own so that the Empire doesn't find out about her banking history. But because Drinker has this narrow political lens he views media from, all he sees is, arg, powerful woman bad. And this isn't just the case for Mon Mothma. This point he makes addresses all of the female characters. Vel and Clea are also shown during this little yap sesh that he has, which I assume means he's specifically addressing them as well. So let's break this down and see why this is stupid. Vel is put in a position of power, yes, but that's only because Luthen allowed her to be there. And even with this new power, Vel has been clearly shown to not be ready for it. There's multiple moments in the show where she's shown to be contemplating her own leadership skills and internally processing the idea that people are willing to die for this cause, and she needs to be willing to lose them. The most girl boss character that I'd say is in the show is probably Clea, I guess. She kind of keeps them on track with the business that they're running that kind of shields them from any Imperial intrigue, and also kind of steers him in the right direction to keep his eye on the goal. And the only question I have for Drinker is, why is this a problem? I don't see the issue. The only two explanations I can come up with is either he is stupid or he is sexist, or he could impress me by being both. Keep in mind, this is one criticism that he tried to make. Imagine if someone went through his entire catalog. I simply don't have the time for that, but someone else has willingly sacrificed their well-being in order to do just that. Jose's video about Drinker is pretty good, and I suggest everyone go watch it. I have a couple problems with a couple of the points that he makes, but overall the video is solid. Very nice. And go watch that if you want a full-length video about Drinker's critique style. But ultimately, that's not why we're here. We are here because this man tried to make a movie, and it was terrible.
I'd written like this whole series of 9 books plus a couple of novellas called the Ryan Drake series, like named after the main character. And once I made it on YouTube a little bit, I got contacted by an independent film director who said, look, I'm a big fan of your channel and I've also read your books and I really like them. I think we could do something with this. Maybe start off by making a short film and then see what we do from there.
My first impression from this is Critical Drinker's not playing around. Like, this is legit.
She can't possibly miss this, right? God, that's so stupid.
One thing that you really did well was the action and the stunts are kind of amazing.
Oh my god.
That looks pretty damn good. I mean, feature quality. That is feature quality filmmaking.
Ow.
You're dead, right?
She's dead.
You're telling me she's dead, right, Drinker? She is gone.
Drinker would rip this film apart if he didn't make it. So this is just hilarious to see.
Well, that was a masterpiece.
That was great.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Alright, before we truly get into this, let's lay down some ground rules and some cold hard facts. Firstly, I want to make it clear that this is not a feature-length movie. This is a 40-minute TV series proof of concept, which is just pretty much just a pilot that they can ship around to different studios to see who wants to pick it up. I don't know who would want to pick up this abomination, but I guess someone might. Also, this short film is set in the book Ryan Drake universe, set between books 2 and 3, which is an interesting choice. You would think it would be easier to adapt the book series, rather than try to go back and shoehorn in story elements that possibly retcon or even damage world-building elements in order to make this movie fit in between 2 books written over 10 years ago. But nah, it'll be fine. The second thing I want to bring up is the fact that this movie has a lot of problems and tropes that Drinker himself despises, and I think that's really funny. So because of that, we're going to add a woke meter for every time the show does something that he would consider bad or woke, because he's an idiot. This will also see and test the limits of his hypocrisy between him, the critic, and him, the writer. I guess the higher it is, the more hypocritical he is. Spoiler alert, it gets pretty high. Anyway, let's jump in. So I don't want to be that guy who just right off the bat starts bullying the logos in the opening credits, but come on, man, these are not it. It especially gets worse when you look at the names of the production companies. Gradual Upgrades Production. Do you see the annoyance here? Also, this camera animation is certainly a choice.
Oh,
that is a logo of all time.
What is this? The TM2 turret building?
I feel like I'm watching a 2002 educational video about drug use on the school's CRT TV. The movie begins with an opening text blurb to speedrun some exposition. Now, this isn't inherently bad, but the ideas and the information given have some contradictions down the line. And the funny thing is that this barely gives us any information at all. It only serves to introduce this new audience to what shepherds are. Wait, they held no title and answered no name. Why is this guy's name Ryan Drake then? Why do we know that?
Wait. They held no titles, but they're known as shepherds.
This text also has multiple visual problems, with the textured background and the text being very similar in color, and it has no drop shadow to distinguish itself from said background. On top of this, we have blurry dust going everywhere, and it's just too much. You have these light shafts on the top. What are we doing, man? Just do black background, some white text, Cool font. It's okay, man. Disney won't sue you. The first thing we see is a woman being interrogated by our main antagonist, Volkov, after being captured from something, I don't know. This non-linear storytelling is terribly paced. We then cut to a parking garage where Fedorov, an agent of the CIA, runs into a group of shepherds who are there to extract him. Anya, another shepherd agent I assume, sets up a rifle in the same parking garage. Then as Fedorov is being extracted, the driver is shot dead. At first you think it's Anya because the previous shot was Anya directly scoping in on the driver, but no. The Russians are here to take the shepherds. And this is where the writing problems really start to show. Anya wants to kill this man, Volkov, but she never takes a shot during this entire scene when there's a clear opening for him to be taken out at any moment. The only time she ever tries to do this is when this man conveniently walks into her reticle right as she pulls the trigger. How convenient. She can't possibly miss this, right? God, that's so stupid. The only argument that you could make here is that this is the inciting incident, but no, I'm sorry. Even if that's the case, some inciting incidents are too stupid to exist. This is Army of the Dead levels of stupidity. Anyway, Anya then gets on her bike and starts fleeing the scene. Not before pushing this guy out of the way with the force and slowly stabbing the guy for some reason.
Yeah, I have no idea what anyone is.
Huh? She just like airbendered that. Watch that.
Go back.
Wow.
What's the camera doing?
She's an airbender. We cut to an interrogation scene where the shepherds have been caught. And instead of these highly trained operatives being incredibly resilient to interrogation and really good at their job, the men who go by no name instead decide to give up the name of an operative without any prolonged torture inflicted on them at all. Well, that was easy. This will be a running theme throughout the movie because at several points in the narrative, these highly skilled operatives will make incredibly stupid decisions that completely contradict everything stated in the opening text. How could these writers be so stupid? I'm throwing a woke point for the stupidity. These writers are clearly as, if not more stupid than those Hollywood illiterate hacks. Also, the music has been overbearing this entire time. Like, it hasn't stopped from the intro. There's been music playing for this entire thing. This scene would be better if there was no music. In fact, almost every scene in the movie would be better without music. But anyway, Volkov kills this guy immediately after giving the information. Shocker. And then kills this guy with a hammer. But hold on, if this guy was so easy to break to get information you wanted, why not keep him alive? Think about it, Volkov. You have a shepherd operative, aka allegedly one of the most dangerous people in existence with some of the most important information in the world, and this operative is just giving you information for free. Why kill him? We need to milk him for everything he's worth. Sure, kill this guy with hammers, but this guy we need to keep. Also, before we move on, it doesn't help that this guy immediately gives away the fact that they do indeed know something.
Don't say a goddamn word.
Right after stealing a line from Lethal Weapon.
Well, I guess we're in for a long night. 'Cause I don't know shit.
Well, I guess we're in for a long night because I don't know shit.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Bro thinks he's him for real. To expand on this point a bit, I don't think Drinker really understands why this line in Lethal Weapon works. In the 1978 movie, Riggs is getting tortured and he goes through prolonged torture and still doesn't tell them anything. That's why the line is cool. It's also cool because Riggs is cool. In Rogue Elements, it's just talk. He doesn't actually believe it. He doesn't even believe in his fellow Shepherd operative to last the night, even though I assume they've gone through the same rigorous training. But anyway, after this interrogation, we move on to meeting the main characters. Jonas and Frost are sitting talking about how this is a weird time to meet up for a mission. Jonas, being the character that they describe as being able to speak Russian like a native, never actually speaks Russian in the entire movie. Also, the way he's described just confuses me. They say that he's able to speak Russian like a native, which insinuates that he's not actually a native. But then he has the accent. So is he just faking that, or is he actually a native? And if he's faking it, why? On top of that, the accent is terrible.
We're not supposed to be back on rotation for another, 2 weeks.
I thought you had all the answers, Frost. Running ops from behind computer screen like you do?
I don't even know where that accent comes from. Who are you, dude? Anyway, then the car drives up and we're introduced to the man, the myth, the legend, Nathan Drake. Oh wait, sorry. I mean Ryan Drake. By the way, Ryan has a British accent, which I assume means he's not an American-born citizen, which means that there's a chance that the CIA operative team only has one American on it? Unless Frost is Canadian, and that would be tragic. I'm putting 2 on the woke meter just because there's no American representation on this team. This is absolutely pathetic. I hate forced diversity. But anyway, British Jack Quaid pulls out the highly secure MacBook Pro and shows us the interrogation scene again, and we have to watch the scene that we just watched again. The plotting and pacing of this is top notch. We then get flashbacks to the training sequence, and it establishes that Hastings was Ryan's trainer or captain or something, I don't know. He was the master, he was the apprentice. You know what that means, all right? I now have some questions about how this elite select few of soldiers work. Because if I was in charge of the CIA operative team that was the most elite group of soldiers in existence, I would not allow foreigners to be on that squad. I know that sounds bad, but if this is supposed to be the most incorruptible and unbreakable group of soldiers in the world, I'm not letting in people who could possibly be corrupted by exterior motives, like being loyal to another country. I know that won't stamp out all the corruption, but that's a good and necessary step in order to stamp out at least some of it. Also, you would think that being a non-American shepherd would be some sort of really cool character arc to go through and explore. Like, you would think they would do something with that. How does that weigh on Ryan Drake's, mental? We don't know because they never explored it at all. There's like one line and it's on the phone.
The prey my faith in you was not misplaced. Otherwise you and your American lapdogs will be hunted along with her.
That's apparently all we need. We don't need anything more. Please, sir, may I have some character development? All we get is Ryan Drake being a pushover the entire movie. Plus 1 woke point for the main male protagonist being a pushover beta. We don't like those. We only like alpha males here. We then get more exposition about the extraction of Fedorov, about the separatist group forming in Russia and how they haven't been organized, but now they are, blah, blah, blah. Why wasn't any of this in the opening crawl? Then the fake Russian guy starts pressuring Ryan about how this isn't actually a CIA operation, and Ryan is doing this for revenge. Ooh, spooky, overwhelming music is back. Ooh, I can't hear anything. Oh!
And we don't allow shit like this to go unanswered. Of course, maybe you're a person that can live with it.
Anyway, we cut in later the night where Ryan Drake and team are breaking into the facility, and Ryan Drake, elite CIA Shepherd operative, walks directly in spotlights and kills people as loud as he possibly can, and absolutely nobody sees him. We also have the native Russian speaker not speaking a lick of Russian when he's talking to actual Russians.
I was told to come here and ask for Vitaly. Where is he?
You've got the wrong place. Now leave.
Ryan continues to dawdle along and almost gets caught, but pulls a Kenobi.
Tango inbound. Corridor directly ahead.
No one looked.
He
No one
saw you.
What?
No.
That's right out of Kenobi.
It's Kenobi.
Kenobi, yeah.
Drinker, you did a Kenobi.
Volkov then talks to Victor, whoever that is, and Ryan brilliantly takes down 5 guys in a room. And this fight scene is definitely a showing of how strong and capable these Shepherd operatives are. And not the fact that the Russian soldiers are as stupid, if not more stupid, than stormtroopers. Like seriously, this guy with the rifle just closes the distance for absolutely no reason.
He closed the distance.
Oh my god! And this guy decides to take the hostage while also leaving his head completely open to getting shot.
You know you're supposed to hold them at gunpoint in a position where they can't shoot you in the head, right?
This is a classic trope of making everyone around the main character stupid in order to make the main character seem intelligent, and it's a trope that Drinker himself despises and points out in his reviews. So we're gonna slap another point on the woke meter because of the funny.
There are rats in the building. Tell me something. Do you think you can handle that?
Take all the time you need, buddy. We ain't rushing at all. Then Ryan takes ages talking to Fedorov, even though the people hunting him are in the same building and could be there at any second. Can't you guys have this conversation, somewhere safe? Not in the building? Also, speaking of Fedorov, why hasn't Volkov killed him? He was willing to kill a Shepherd operative, even though that he was incredibly easy to break. And with Fedorov, he's already given you all the information that you need. And keeping him alive only compromises your own organization. So the most most logical outcome of this is to kill him. The only argument that I could see is that Volkov is using Fedorov to bait in Ryan Drake to break into the facility. But then why didn't he kill Fedorov immediately when he heard that Ryan was in the building? Or kill him at any point during the heist? Or why didn't they surround the room Ryan spent ages talking to Fedorov in? What's your plan here, Volkov? Anyway, then Drinker gets shot. Oh my god, that was Drinker!
That was Drinker, yeah.
He just got shot! We love that!
I've just got a question though. Like, it's funny to watch Drinker get shot, don't get me wrong, but also, like, what was his character, quote unquote, doing there?
Was his gun pointed at the ground?
Yeah, he's just pointing it at the ground.
He's just pointing it at the ground.
He's idling!
He's an actual NPC.
He's AFK! He's going to get water.
Can I also highlight, by the way, that he didn't even get killed by Ryan Drake himself. He had to get killed by the DEI high.
Wow.
I mean,
Sam,
that's very
you can say
progressive
this is
of him,
critical.
honestly.
We then see native Russian guy is messing around with a gun and Ryan Drake is taking Fedorov on a tour of the building. No, I'm not kidding. He decides to do this. Then Ryan gets word that the enemies are coming in on their location. He then switches plans to get Fedorov out of the building. It's almost like there's an exit here. That garage. There's sunlight coming out of the garage. Go to the garage. It's right there, dude.
Oh, we were right there, man!
Then we see some of the worst continuity editing I've ever seen. So Ryan is walking along just like he does, right? And the next shot we see of him after he gets shot, Volkov is just standing in the middle of the walkway. And it's not like Volkov was hiding anywhere. He was just standing there, menacingly. And Ryan just didn't see him? Ryan Drake, elite CIA Shepherd operative, didn't see the target that was literally in front of him. Then Frost gets jumped by a soldier from earlier and they start to fight. And since she's fighting a person twice her size, you would expect her to immediately lose, right? Right? We'll get to that later. Ryan continues to fight inept soldiers that keep closing the distance, but this time it's red and spooky.
Oh, it's red. Now shit's really gonna go down.
Also, you have this continual problem with how it's edited. You're going from a dark red interior to a very bright and blown out exterior shot. And from the audience perspective, you're basically flashbanging them every time you cut scenes.
Also, the constant cutting back and forth between daylight and red, not happy with that.
I don't think it's necessarily that it doesn't work, but it's the fact that the camera that they've got is clipping at the white, making the sky just pure white, and it's just filling the frame, which makes the cut very jarring. It's not necessarily impossible to do. You would need a better camera to do it.
I just want the record to show that I just posted a GIF in the chat, and I want Andrew to post the iCarly clip to tell the viewers exactly what I'm experiencing right now.
Then the rogue element from earlier pops out, throws a smoke bomb, and kills half of the team. And she stare downs Ryan and reveals that it's Anya. Then we cut back to Frost fighting the big soldier guy, and it's just not believable in the slightest. Frost is 100% dead right here. This is a fully roided up muscle man against a small woman. I don't care about how much elite training Frost has had. At this point in this fighting position, she is dead.
No, you're not holding this off. You're done.
Southpaw, you just hate women.
I do.
What?
What the?
Well.
No, my favorite character!
Also, he cut her neck, and let's be real here, the material there is not that thick. So
Oh yeah, she should be bleeding a lot more profusely right now.
Maybe she's very thick.
You know what's interesting, Sheev, is we recently saw a movie in the theater involving a girl getting her neck cut not very deeply, and it's fucking fatal.
The much more straightforward thing of, like, you know, we've been making a lark out of drinkers' double standards in terms of women's strength in a combat situation. That was a straightforward, like, you can't even excuse that with like military training or whatever. Like a full-grown man, muscled man, was pressing down with all his weight and strength on a knife to her throat, and she was somehow holding him off. She doesn't look like an Olympic weightlifter to me. But maybe I'm mistaken.
Military training equals raw strength. That's how it works.
She took the super soldier serum. Stop being bad faith.
We then see the brilliant escape by Ryan and Anya, where the enemy keeps running around and refuses to take any shooting position at all. I don't think any of these people even try to take a shot at Ryan or Anya during the escape. And then my favorite part of the entire movie happens.
Ow.
You're dead, right?
She's dead.
You're telling me she's dead, right, Drinker? She is gone.
Drinker, let me explain something very complicated for you. If RPGs were actually that weak, we would not be fucking using them. Okay?
I am absolutely flabbergasted at this writing decision. I have no words. The fact that the critical drinker, a guy who points out obvious and egregious plot armor, lets this slide in his own movie is crazy. We're adding +5 to the woke counter. We cannot let this go. Ryan then follows Volkov instead of shooting him from a distance, and Volkov decides to beat him with a hammer instead of shooting him with the gun on his hip. Then once Ryan has won by sheer luck, he decides that he's going to take Volkov in for interrogation since he's willing to give up information. Well, Anya comes over and just shoots him, and Ryan does nothing to stop her. Even though Volkov is invaluable to the CIA, Ryan doesn't do anything to save him. Then Frost calls in for an update and is surprisingly okay considering the massive gash on her neck. Ryan then leaves with Anya to take a stroll. Anya then reveals the brilliant way in which she decided to hide her bike.
I really just want to admire how well she hid this bike, by the way. So great. Yeah.
We then get flashbacks that are similar to before, and it's revealed that Ryan was the one who broke her out of prison under the name Madas. And roll credits. And that, my friends, was Rogue Elements, a Ryan Drake story. Except not yet, because there are not one, but 2 post-credit scenes for no reason. We get one with this Victor guy who we don't know and I don't care about, and I want to get this video over. Please let me go. I'm begging for my life.
Anya.
Cool, he brings up Anya. Next scene, roll the Nickelback. I don't care what happens. Then we get another post-credit scene where after everything went down, Ryan takes the team to a safe place with Fedorov. Frost is still alive with an open wound in her neck for some reason. Native Russian guy asks Ryan if he put a tracker on Anya, and yeah, why didn't he? Considering how much of a wild card she is for some reason. You might want to know where she goes. So do we have an answer, Ryan? No? All right. Well, I guess we'll wait till next time. And that, my friends, was Rogue Elements, a Ryan Drake story. I'm exhausted. Oh, this is all the backers, baby. All the people who spent money on this. This is my hit list. I'm kidding.
These men will be dead in 24 hours.
So that was an experience. I don't even know where to start with this. Like, this whole script needs a redraft or 2, or even 5, honestly. It is astonishing how bad this movie is considering the guy who made it. Actually, let me rephrase that, because I find it to be completely believable that this man made this piece of garbage. I rather find it astonishing that this man, who allegedly has the standards that he does, had the audacity to release something so egregiously terrible. Like, you understand that releasing something this terrible is borderline hypocritical, right? You lack any self-respect at all. But Andrew, being a movie critic is completely different than being a film writer or director. Shut up. The only difference between critiquing things and creating stories is creativity, something Mr. Critical Drinker obviously doesn't have. In order to make a good script, you need to be critical of your own work, and hold the same standards you hold to mainstream media to yourself. And since his name is the Critical Drinker, you would think that he would keep his standards consistent. But no, because again, Critical Drinker is not an objective media critic. He goes into media with his own preconceived notions, biases, and political views, and it's apparent by his videos and criticisms. He really wants you to believe that he is one, but it's simply not true. And considering how many of his own rules and standards he broke in the 30-minute short film, it's safe to say that he has no integrity at all. And the excuse of, oh, but Andrew, it's his first time writing a film. Yeah, sure, that's true. But he also has written 9 books in the same universe beforehand. You would think, with that much experience in writing dialogue, and writing how characters think, and writing big plots, and even long-term plots over 9 books, you would think that that much experience would translate. And it's not like writing the plot is completely different between the 2 mediums. Plot is plot. That's just what it is. Just write it how you usually would. But Andrew, maybe he wasn't involved in the movie-making process. He was literally on set for the entirety of the fight at the compound. He was so involved that he was even on set there to help rewrite a scene because that's his job. He is a credited writer on the movie. It's his movie. He's not hiding behind any ambiguity here. He made this mess.
I just want to reiterate, if this is going on YouTube, Andrew, just want to reiterate this for the audience. Drinker would rip this film apart if he didn't make it. So this is just hilarious to see.
After watching the movie, me and the boys sat and talked a bit about what went wrong with this production, other than the obvious. We brought up the question that was, with $400,000, should Drinker have started his film career with an action movie? And the general consensus was no. He should have started small and built up his talent. But later, as we dug into the production of this movie, we found out that most of the team working on the project had quite the portfolio. The cinematographer worked on 86 productions since 2009 and worked on projects like The Twilight Zone and even Deadpool 2. The special effects coordinator has 43 projects under his belt, which include Max Payne, The Incredible Hulk, Pacific Rim, RoboCop, and even The Boys. The producer previously worked on shows like Orville and Law & Order. And then we went down a rabbit hole and came to the conclusion that the two weakest links in this production were the director and the writer, aka the most important roles in a project. Travis Grant, the director that actually reached out to Critical Drinker about making this whole production, previously only worked on 6 short films, which no one has heard of, and all of these are on his YouTube channel. And then the writer being Will Jordan, aka Critical Drinker, which needs no introduction. I know I already went over this, but man, you worked on 9 books, bro. How are you this bad? So going back to the original question, I now would argue that with the amount of experience he was able to get for this project, that yes, it was possible to do this if you had actual writing talent and creative vision. If Drinker is this bad at writing a short 40-minute story, I can't help but wonder how bad his full-length books are. And hey, Drinker, if you want to make a TV pilot to pitch to studios and want to be as professional as possible, maybe don't say yes to the first director who calls you. If I was a company semi-interested in this project and was actually considering picking it up, the first thing I would do is gutting the director and writing team. And then I'm going to adapt the books rather than make it a show in the same universe, because given Drinker's track record with writing, I could probably hire some writers that could make his books better. But let's be real, the only company that would actually pick this up is the Daily Wire, which is apparent by how much discussion Ben Shapiro and Drinker have.
Anyway, thank you, Critical Drinker, for coming on this episode of the show.
Oh yeah.
You can find all of his links in the description, and remember to use code FACTS to get a free month of ExpressVPN. And most importantly, remember to subscribe to the Daily Wire for exclusive interviews, including an extended version of this one with the Critical Drinker. Alright, are the cameras off?
Yeah, you're good, sir.
Oh, Colby here, you sexy alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was Rogue Elements, a Ryan Drake story. I can't say I was surprised it was this bad, I'm just surprised people gave him money to make it. Hopefully in the future his fans will think twice before giving him anything in regards to his fan-funded projects. If you like this video, consider becoming a member for only $2 a month. It supports the channel and you get some cool emotes. Thank you to the members that have already joined. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.